Check 1 2.
Skateboarding chicks and rock and roll. Skateboarding chicks and rock and roll. Skateboarding chicks and rock and roll. Skateboarding chicks and rock and roll.
My name is Russ Pope, and I'm affiliated with skateboarding. How's that? Probably a Dead Kennedys show with who would have opened for him? Shit. Anyway, it was a Dead Kennedys show. The best thing about it though was it shut the town down that I lived in at the time. I've gone to like my first proper punk show was Dead Kennedys show. I've gone to like shitty like local punk shows that local bands or whatever. But Dead Kennedys was the first proper like punk extravaganza, like where people were really getting nuts. Like people, it was like a vets hall and people broke windows and ripped out bushes, and the fire department came and sprayed everybody up against the wall. And there were no punk shows allowed in that town for like 10 years afterwards. Santa Cruz, and early, fuck man, I'd say the whole, if you took a decade and you shifted it from mid 80s to, fuck it, I'd say all of the 80s, actually I would shift that decade like 82, 83 to maybe the beginning of 92, 93, that period in Santa Cruz was probably my favorite. And specifically, I was super hyped on Bullet. Within the Santa Cruz zone, so like all the guys who rode, we were talking earlier about Fab and Pribble and all those guys. There was that whole AM group or whatever, but then also when they had Bullet and ran it with, like Corey O'Brien rode for Bullet before he had a board on Santa Cruz or whatever, and there was photos of him skating the Scurbs and Montague Banks and doing wall rides and stuff and skating vert. See, band I wish I saw. This is a kind of an embarrassing one, but I have to admit that The Clash. I never saw The Clash. Like, I had opportunities and just missed out, and always thought there was going to be more time. And even all the way up to the very end when Joe Strummer died and The Clash wasn't playing, I still thought there was going to be a moment to see The Clash. I've seen Joe Strummer and the Mescalaros and Joe Strummer, but never saw The Clash. That's another easy one, but there's a bunch of others probably too that I missed out on, but The Clash, that's a sad one. Shit. Favorite skate picture? That's a super tough one, man. Favorite skate picture of all time. Fuck. So one of them has to be Ricky Windsor slapping a curb, holding a beer. The blender one of him going over the brick banks over the gap. Like it's like a street, closest thing to a street photo of Blender, when street photos really weren't happening, but it was still tranny, so it was still tranny shit. Clash. It's either the Gons or Blender, one of the two. I'm giving it to Gons though because he's like most people don't even realize what a ripping vert skater he was. Dude could do face high frontside slob plants. Has one of the best frontside inverts and eggplants, and there's nobody that looks like he does on street, or that skated switch like he skated switch and didn't even know he was skating a switch. It's like from begin. Yeah, it's the Gons. Subhumans, Day the Country Died. And actually, all the Subhumans album covers were the best. I used to freak out on them just staring at. To me, that is black and white, super illustrated, lots to look at, carnage, social commentary, all wrapped up into an album. So like an album cover that give you a snapshot into their political views and where they were at and what they thought about punk and life and all that. Their album covers are really great. My favorite skateboard ever was a Maharaja I got in the 70s. I'd had a hand built one from my dad, a couple plastic ones, and this was my first real brand new board with like proper trucks and got the little strip of grip tape on it. The same company makes like the crazy laminated water skis, whatever, but Maharaja board, Continentals and Road Riders. That was a Melvin show, believe it or not, where it came out and it was the first time I'd ever seen. It was a long time ago, and they did this thing called the crowd clear. It was like 15 or 20 minutes just holding a note for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden you may get a drum. That was it, and a bass. And everyone was losing their minds, and they did it to clear. Literally, it was a crowd clear, so 15-20% of the people bail because they're pissed, like, fuck, this is bullshit. You make it through the crowd clear, and then all of a sudden it just went into a face melting set of just gnarliness, and it was rad with Buzzo's hair going everywhere, and it was epic. Lots of really good old shows, but that was one of those ones where it was like totally unexpected, caught you off guard, and next thing you know, you were just like, oh my god, this is insane. Should be a message to the old dudes. The youth don't need messages. They don't listen to messages anyway. The old dudes the message should be, I'm switching it. Screw your message to the youth. It's the message to the old dudes. Don't be so bitter. Like, it's cool today too. Like, today is cool. Just be in today. Live today, because today is fucking cool. Yesterday was really cool. Today is cool too. So, coolest motherfucker of the week. It's maybe something that didn't happen last week. The shout out is to Rainy Barons. Right, so like if you're a Cardiel fan or just a fan of revved up youth on a thrill rampage and craze and energy levels off the charts and the meters, someone who has a little bit of what Cardiel had and in today's day and age that makes you feel like all is not lost and there's good things happening is Rainy Barons. I started Creature Skateboards, and we did the very first Creature tour was accidentally, not accidentally, on purpose, we started the tour in Pennsylvania at Barker Barrett's dad's, his family's home. And it was only a handful of us, me and Barker Barrett, Jason Adams, Darren Navarrete, and we might have picked up somebody else on the way, but anyway, we rented this car, and we rented a Lincoln Continental. It was a brand new Lincoln Continental. It was all black. It looked like a morgue mobile. It was all accidental. We went to the rental place. It's all they had. It had 5 miles on it. And so like they gave us for the Creature tour this 5 mile on the odometer brand new Lincoln Continental. That's what we did a month in on the road all over the East Coast from Pennsylvania down to Florida and back. We got a invitation in that thing to go to Bruce Martin's first Skatopia, like when he was trying to remember where it was, one of the Virginias, maybe West Virginia. It was the middle of nowhere. The directions were we got it basically on a napkin, and the last like few miles were all on dirt roads, and some of them were sort of marked. It was like literally like drive 2 miles, there'll be a fork in the road, follow the right fork, you'll know you're going the right way because there's a broken down whatever Monte Carlo on your right hand side by a tree. Anyway, we got to the end of the thing, we pull up and we get to Bruce Martin's place, and it's fucking ridiculous. He's got all his first vert ramp that they had a name for, I don't remember what it is, but like coping doesn't have roll-up decks it meets. There's gaps. It's so dangerous. It's like it's it's an accident waiting to happen, which was awesome. It was crazy in the middle of nowhere. He says, first thing he says is, there's some beers in the freezer. Go help yourself. So I go into the kitchen. The whole kitchen is like this. The whole house is like off kilter. And you go to the freezer. I pull open the freezer, and there's mud and hay in the freezer with all of the beer in there, whatever. So it didn't matter. There was cold beer in the freezer, but it was off kilter, mud and hay in the freezer. And I just walked by his truck that had goats in it eating the garbage, because that's where he kept the garbage. And goats eating the garbage helped, delete some of the garbage drop off he had to make. So this whole scene is ridiculous already, right? 20 minutes into it, Darren Navarrete dislocates his elbow on said dangerous ramp. So I think Bruce offered some pills and a couch and ice out of the mud hay freezer. So we've got his elbow packed in ice. He's on pills now on the couch, being caressed by weird girls that live there in the Bruce harem. We go back out to skate. As we go back out to skate, a short bus pulls down with people who are hearing deficit, as in they're deaf, and they all have mullets. So a mullet having deaf short bus of skateboarders pulls up. They all pile out, sign language to us. I don't know sign language, so it meant nothing to me. I just saw people with mullets that couldn't hear hop on the ramp and go to, it was like Skate Clinic 101. It was his most bizarre, strange thing ever. Bruce takes us to his mom's house, which is in close proximity to his place, to show us his skateboard collection that's in the basement of his mom's house. So we looked at, we had to touch and hold every one of the skateboards, which was epic because he had a lot of really cool stuff and some ridiculous stuff too. But through that process, both he and his mom told us the stories of when they were abducted. So they were abducted by aliens, and we got the abducted by aliens conversation while we looked at his skateboard collection, which made all of it that much more awesome. So it was like one of the most epic, awesome, memorable, weird snapshots in skateboarding tour time, and it all happened in the course of one afternoon. It's nuts.